let's cook up some collaboration on this episode of the Special Education. Your host, Catherine Witcher, and I'm excited to share with you a tool that I found that will work at home and at school. It's called the Color-Coded Chef. And the Color-Coded Chef, I'm going to show you a little bit about what it is, but here's why I'm so excited about it. It's not just because I love that there's a recipe for chocolate chip cookies. It's not just because they have visual recipes and visual supports like color coding the cooking tools, but it reminds me even more how much we need to work together as parents and teachers to collaborate on IEP goals. When we are working together in multiple environments and we're working to help a child generalize their skills, we are going to see progress at a whole new level. Now, a lot of times when we're talking about tools, supports, curriculum, modifications, accommodations, it's things that are very school-based and used for school materials only. You know, like, how do we fix this worksheet? And that worksheet, quite honestly, feels kind of burdensome during the school day, and it can feel burdensome during homework time or just something extra that needs to get done. A lot of times we don't feel the meaning behind the worksheet or the activity. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some things that we have to do inside of the IEP, so we can reach goals, and not all of it's going to be fun. But we can absolutely integrate more fun, more creativity, and more tools that work well between home and school, something that can be done in both environments. And then guess what? Then you can take data. How is this working at school? How is this working at home? And you have a more comprehensive look at what a child truly can achieve on important skills, like independent living skills, like cooking. And that's why I get excited about the Color-Coded Chef. Let me just share with you a little bit about what's here with Color-Coded Chef. I have a whole workstation sitting in front of me right now, but I'm going to share with you. And I want you to start brainstorming some of the ideas of, like, how could you use this? How could you use this or something like this to help your child or your student make progress at a whole new level? So this is something that I could absolutely see being used. Do they still call it home ec at school? Sometimes some schools still do. Some schools have named it something else, but basically a cooking class. Many times this happens. This class is available in like junior high and above, right? So we'll say ages 14 and up. There's sometimes some opportunities, not just to learn cooking within, let's say, a life skills class or a self-contained special education environment, but also we tend to use classes like a cooking class as opportunities for inclusion and collaboration. And when we can use tools like the Color-Coded Chef, we can actually support even more independence through this activity. So let me just share with you what I have here. And if you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts, you're going to want to go click on the colorcodedchef.com and go straight to their store so you can see the visuals of this. But for those of you that are watching on video, check this out. We have a green measuring cup, pink, blue, purple. You can see this visual recipe. I don't love to cook, but I love sweets, which means that I will bake. I will bake for chocolate chip cookies for sure. So you can see this beautiful visual recipe that's there. It tells me everything that I need. So very important, because many of us, we have a tendency to forget what we need, all of the supplies and things that we need to create a recipe. I know that I am guilty of that. So having a visual for a child, for the adult too, right? To make sure that we have all the tools that we need. But here's the key piece. I just showed you the recipe, and I showed you that in the supplies that were needed, there was a picture of a measuring cup, and it had a green handle, a measuring cup, it had a pink handle, of a measuring spoon, and it had a blue, and a measuring spoon, and it had purple. So check these out. Here's the matching cups and spoons that go with the Color-Coded Chef. So it's tools like this that cut the prep time for teachers and for parents, because that's important. We are all doing a lot of things all the time. And although I love to talk about IEPs all the time, not everybody, right? Parents who have so many things going on, you don't have the time to overthink IEPs all of the time. But what if you had tools like this that were being used at school and they were being used at home, and you could work on all the skills that go along with cooking? We all know there's reading, there's math. With color-coded chef, there's colors, there's following directions. A lot of times there's socialization, right? You're not cooking alone. A lot of times you're cooking with somebody else. There's built-in rewards, which is exciting, right? If I cook these cookies the right way, according to this recipe, they're going to be very yummy. If I don't, they may not turn out so well. So having activities like this that really bring home and school together, and having materials that are usable both at home and school. And here's kind of the third layer that makes it this exciting, and beyond, right? Meaning, and beyond just the right now. Meaning, I know I'm going to have these measuring cups and these measuring spoons probably in one of my kitchen drawers for the rest of my life, because that's just how it works, right? You get really awesome kitchen tools and they just kind of stay there. So I'm going to have these long-term. So this is a long-term skill. So not only are we increasing our home to school collaboration, we're increasing the opportunities for a child to succeed, the opportunity for a child to gain skills in multiple different ways, but we're also setting them up for long-term success. So we have such a limited time in school, right? And I'm not just talking about the school day, I'm also talking about the school years. We need to make sure that we're maximizing this. As IEP teams, we have got to make sure that we are taking as much perspective as we can of what is needed long-term. Meaning we got to think through that lens. We can't just say, well, third graders need this and eighth graders need this and high schoolers need this. No, the entire purpose of an IEP is to prepare a child for further education, employment, independent living. That doesn't mean that we're going to school to learn how to cook all the time. A lot of times there's this perception that life skills means lower expectations. And if you have ever thought that as a teacher or as a parent, if that's kind of the feeling you get of like, well, this is a life skills activity or this is a life skills class, just get rid of that, okay? Because through skills like this, we can have higher expectations and we can see more independence and we can see longer term success. By no means am I ever going to say I'm going to lower expectations and only teach a child how to cook. No, we're going to take a skill that's going to have a long-term benefit and integrate it into the academics, like traditional academics, and into our functional skills and into the entire purpose of the IEP. And we're going to use as many, I'm going to say, pre-made, prepared kind of supports, right? Like you don't have to make everything from scratch when it comes to supports for your child or for your students. Sometimes the investment in a tool that is already proven to work, that just makes sense, like just do it. Just go for it. Just go ahead and make your life easier and help your child acquire the skill. So I can very much see, cooking in the kitchen with my brother, adult with Down syndrome. And if I tell him like, I need a half a cup of something, I would have to explain to him what the half looks like. The one with the line with the two. Half is not a number that he uses on a daily basis, on a regular basis, right? It's just not half, right? So he's out of practice with that. Is there a time that probably in his years of school that he had a worksheet that talked about half? Yes. Did he have cooking class in high school? Yes, he did. Does he cook at home now? Yes, he does. Okay. But if we're making a recipe that we need to actually measure the things, right? Not just like stir up the ground beef on the stove kind of stuff, which he can do. And that's exciting to see him do independent things and give him tasks that he can use. But if I'm going to take him out of his routine and out of his comfort zone, and I'm going to ask him to work at a higher level of independence while helping me, I have to put some supports in place. So if I was to look at this recipe and say, Robert, I need a half a cup of something, that's the pink one. Now, pink, he knows the color pink. So he's going to go into these measuring cups and he's going to be like, here you go, sis. And, we're going to be able to make this recipe together and it's going to go quicker. We're going to get to that end result of those good cookies, right? And we're going to have a much more collaborative time as brother and sister because I have the right tools. So again, I just want to encourage you as you're looking at all of the different opportunities of how do you build an IEP that's going to have the biggest benefit for a child. We have to look at what skills are needed at home, what skills are needed at school, and what skills are needed long term. Plus, what can we do to support this activity in a natural way that doesn't take you as the adult an extended amount of time to support this next level of growth, this next milestone, this next level of independence. That's where you got to get creative and you got to go do some searches and you got to find things like the color-coded chef. And you got to say, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. Like, let's use this. Let's see if this truly builds some independence. Maybe your child's going to have a love for baking. In fact, I can tell you there's a client that I had a long time ago. So you guys know I've been doing this for a very long time, like 25 years. I had one-on-one clients. Now I spend all my time training master IEP coaches so they can have one-on-one clients and help parents through the school system. And if you're interested in that, just go to masteriepcoach.com and you will see all the different options of the Master IEP Coach programs. But this particular client, her child is getting ready to graduate high school. He's in the last couple of years of his transition program, and he has a love for baking, which is really awesome because he also has a significant amount of food allergies. He is autistic and he needs visual supports, and he's got to support his own special diet, which means that they do a lot of cooking and baking at home. So it turns out that as he learned how to help mom in the kitchen, that he now has a passion for this and has a job working in a bakery, being able to, contribute with a meaningful employment, being a contributing member of his community because of his love for cooking and his ability to be able to assist and work side by side in teamwork. Like, there's so many skills in this. He now has a job. So don't ever minimize the importance of trying some new things out that work at home and school, that work short-term, long-term, and that work outside of the school years in a way that it could truly change a child's life and build different opportunities that you didn't even think of. I'm going to encourage you, go check out the color-coded chef. If you have questions about, like, is this a good IEP goal? Is this something we should be working on? What do you think about? I get a lot of those questions. What do you think about this kind of goal? Go ahead and send me a message on Instagram. Send me a DM and let's chat about the IEP goals and how we can help set them up for success in all areas without putting that extra pressure on parents, teachers, or the student. I'll see you guys next time on the Special Education Inner Circle podcast.